one is not right or wrong. If it's right for your business, then it's the right move. If it's not giving you the numbers that you're looking for, then it's time to pivot or change. If you don't know what's happening in your business and you don't see those numbers, then it's hard to make a decision and then you're guessing. And guessing can be a very expensive process. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Ambrosia Carey, where we talk all about business, marketing, and financial stability for your business to be more profitable and to have more time on your hands. Today, our topic is all about your salon retail versus affiliate links and what might be the best option for you to have a more profitable path. But first, I want to give a shout out to our Apple Podcast reviewer. Shades of Siren said, "The support and relatable information that is accurate and clear is truly incredible. Genuine, warm, intelligent individuals who have experienced life and career ups and downs and have information to offer. Being a part of SSA has been amazing." Thank you so much for that 5-star review on Apple Podcast. And for those of you who leave us a review, we will also give you a shout out, and we want to thank you in advance because it helps the right people find us. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to kick off this topic about salon retail versus affiliate links and how to choose the right path as a salon owner. And it's a hard decision sometimes because we have a lot of information coming our way, especially if you're on social media lately. There are a lot of people who are saying, do this, do that. And I would like to be kind of more like Switzerland. I want to be in the middle and just remain neutral and almost talk about the pros and cons of each one and help you kind of make an informed decision. Obviously, depending on the way that your business is formatted and where you're located, there's a lot of other factors that can kind of play into deciding whether or not one is better than the other. But let's run through this list together, and maybe that will help you decide on what's going to make the most sense for you and your business. And I also want to preface this by saying that it's okay to change things. And I think it's really important to be flexible when it comes to the development of your business. Things are going to change. Your priorities as a business owner are going to change. And the structure of your business may adapt and change in time as well. So I just want to put that out there because some people, I think, will hold on to a structure of their business, even if it doesn't make sense profitability-wise, because that's what they've been used to, or it used to maximize gain at some point in their business, and then it started to shift and change. So let's go ahead and run through this list that I've kind of created for all of us to talk about. Starting out with number one, which is time and effort. When it comes to housing retail in your space, obviously there are certain things like managing your inventory, ordering, storage, product knowledge for your staff if you actually have stylists that are on your team, and handling returns take a significant time and effort, but there's also a lot more reward on the other end of it. So it's kind of like any other part of your business that sometimes the maximum effort that you put into something will also give you the highest reward and gain. So it depends on how much time you can really put into it. Now, I'll say if you are an independent and you need to be 100% in your business to profit that business, then this business model might not make the most sense, right? In this case, you'd be focusing more on affiliate links, which would require less direct time and maybe a little less investment, but you're going to be promoting your partners through your website, through social media, and obviously your own personalized recommendations. With that, there's a little less consistency, right? And the reward is that you have a lower commission rate. So then you can't control what your profit margin might be for that. Let's take an example where we have a stylist named Jamie who has a small salon, a boutique salon, and she stocks hair care products, and she has to spend about 4 hours a week on ordering and inventory management. She also wants to make sure that her staff is trained. Let's go ahead and say that she has 3 stylists that are working for her commission. Now, with Jamie, what the nice part about this is that typically when she's housing that brand, the brand does provide some perks to her. So a lot of times you can earn retail points, and when you earn those points, you can apply it toward education or ongoing PK. As a matter of fact, some of these product lines even just will offer PK to you, especially when you first buy into it, and that's included in that bundle. So let's pretend that we take that off the table, right? And so somebody else is doing that for you within the brand. And on top of it, you can apply that to your back bar. So then you don't actually have to purchase your own back bar. You can use those points to apply to back bar. If I were going to relate to Jamie, I would say on my end for my salon, we haven't had to pay personally out of pocket for backbar for quite a while because we've been able to take our points and apply it to that. So there's an example of how that money can work for you, but it does require some time on the other end. On the flip side, let's talk about a solo owner. Let's go ahead and call her Jane. Jane decides that she's going to sell everything through affiliate links because she doesn't have the space to actually have retail on her shelves. So she's going through affiliate links. She's spending on average 3 hours a week because she has to create social media posts and she has to manage whatever's happening through her website. And she has to make sure that her commissions are correctly divvied out. With her commission, she's earning about 10% on average. So maybe her commission sales are not quite as high, but she's spending her time more on just social media presence rather than her actually trying to sell in person. And she might have like QR codes, for example, that she's selling that right then and there. And she's recommending that product to her client, having them purchase it in her chair. But then they also have that affiliate link they could go back to. So a side-by-side comparison, we're going to just say the time and effort that Jamie spent stocking her inventory may be higher time, but higher profit. And in Jane's situation, she is spending less time not having to stock it. Obviously, she's spending that time creating social media posts and selling online. And she may have a lower commission, but she's not spending the money up front purchasing the product, and she's not spending the time stocking it. She's trading that time out for online sales and making sure that she's following through on clients that may have sat in her chair so that they purchase those products in the future. So now let's talk about the pros and cons of the actual profit margin. If you're housing retail in your space, you get to control the markup and the profit directly. So the higher profit potential per sale, and it depends on the volume of your markups, but typically the average range is between 10 and 15% commission that you're paying to that stylist. So then that means you get to pocket the rest of that profit, obviously minus the shipping and the restocking. And of course, you want to think about your taxes at the end of the year. But aside from that, the profitability is higher. And I would want to go a step further. Profit margins on a regular basis are anywhere between 15 and 25% of what the salon generates. So if you want to talk about profit in general, a salon that is healthy and has stylists that are working on commission and they're selling products, you actually will see 15 to 25% profit addition to the salon. So it's really important to think of things in that way when you're making that decision, if you have a structure that supports it. If you are solo, however, it is completely up to you selling that unless you have an assistant and you have that one of her tasks as well. One of the successful stylists that I work with, who is a salon owner. She is solo. She has an assistant that comes in 3 days a week, and she works with her on pre-booking, writing up her emails, managing her stocking, like restocking her color. And then she's also selling retail for her, and she earns a commission with that. And that's been a very successful business model for them. So that is something to consider, where it's not one versus the other, it's this and. So I want you to start thinking of things in that way when it comes to managing or looking at the profitability of how your business can actually be really well-rounded, and you can have that white glove service for your clients, even if you don't have that inventory stock directly. Okay, so we talked about the time and effort you have to take, the profit margins of what you can receive on one versus another. And now I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the client experience, because a lot of times we're focusing so heavily on what are we profiting as a business? What are we profiting as a hairstylist? Let's think more about, like, what does a client get out of this? And what are we sacrificing here? So when it comes to the client experience, I would say one of the benefits of housing retail in your space is that you can offer direct product recommendations, and there's an immediate purchase. There's an immediate option for clients. And that is like the ultimate white glove service. We want to make sure that we're providing something to our clients right then and there. And statistics have shown that impulse decision by purchasing and the actual amount that someone spends per ticket is higher when they are doing it in person versus online. So that's always something to consider as far as profitability factor, but also what you're offering that client. Think about yourself as a consumer when you're purchasing something, and even if you're doing an impulse buy, is something that you're doing because you feel a certain way. A lot of times it's kind of tied into our psychology, like our emotional psychology and what we feel when we purchase something. So if we're not offering that to our clients, are we really making a full, well-rounded connection? Are we really giving them that full experience? I personally don't ever view retail as like, I just have this item that I'm selling you and you're going to take it home with you. I see it as an extension of the service. And I know that you guys have probably heard me talk about this before. If you're giving a well-rounded service to your client and you're giving them an amazing haircut, amazing hair color, and they walk out feeling so good, and you're not able to provide them with something to take home with them so that they can actually take care of all the work that you did, then are we actually giving them the best service that we possibly can? So that's always something to consider when it comes to that. It's not always financially driven, but it also is emotionally driven. And we want to make sure that we're able to fill both of those buckets to have a well-rounded business. Now let's talk a little bit about your client experience with affiliate links. So a client can navigate to what partner websites for the purchase, obviously, but the potential of them creating a less seamless experience exponentially goes up. So if that website is down, if it's out of stock, if they're not able to get that product in the timely manner that they want to, then that can create a negative experience. And that is always going to be connected or tied to us as well. So we have to think about those things when we're actually making those recommendations. What are the pushbacks from it? So once we consider the client journey and their experience, we also want to look at the risk and the flexibility. The risk of unsold inventory and the potential for market changes affecting that product demand and the higher upfront investment is something that we want to consider. However, we can always put those products on sale. We could always donate those products, and that would be a taxable donation. So there are a little bit more options as far as what we would want to do with that retail if it weren't actually to move off the shelf. And that's still in the positive. So I want to at least put that out there. The risk and flexibility for affiliate links, however, is that there's less financial risk and it's easier to switch between partners with multiple brands. So you have a lot more flexibility. On the downside, however, is that the more flexibility you offer to clients, the more it can dilute your brand. And so that goes into my next point, which is your brand control and your image. For retail in your space, you get to curate and own the product selection. You get to build your brand, and it's a one-stop shop for your clients' needs. Be very careful if you are deciding to do affiliate only, that you're sticking to products that you really believe, love, and trust, and it's easy for you to sell, but also as an extension of your brand, and that you're not diluting it by offering 15 different brands. So let's recap a little bit the pros and cons. Pros of being in the salon space is immediate availability, like we talked about. You can provide those immediately as a service and enhance that convenience. You have your in-person recommendations, which is important because you can demonstrate, you can touch it, smell it, feel it, all that stuff. So a client really gets to know that product. It also leads to higher sales, and we talked about that a little bit. You get to enhance your client experience. So there's a physical presence, there's more interaction, and you're engaging in that shopping experience. And so then it makes it more part of the service. And then you also increase your profits. We all know that the profit margin is a lot higher, about 15 to 25% of your total sales. And that can contribute to additional revenue stream for your salon. And then stats also show that the average spend per purchase is higher in person than online. And then we have the cons. The cons of selling in person is inventory management. It requires space. You need the resources for storage. And then the potential issues with overstocking. You have upfront costs, which is the initial investment that you have to put into it. So it is a financial burden somewhat. And then you have competing online prices, of course. So then there might be some pushback with online purchase sales, which can potentially affect your sales. And then you have limited reach. So then you're restricted to just the local purchasers, the people that come into the salon, versus online sales. Now let's go into the pros of online sales, which is that you have the lower overhead costs, like we talked about, since you don't have to store it. There's more of a global reach because you can sell this online and you can sell it through social media, and they don't have to actually be a client of yours. And then there's 24/7 accessibility because your clients can purchase that product at any time whenever it's convenient for them. And then the cons, of course, is the lack of presence. You're not able to personally interact with the product itself and demonstrate that for your client. You have shipping challenges because there are delays, there are damaged products, there are shipping costs that are associated a lot of times for the client, unless they have free drop ship. And you dilute the satisfaction with your client. And then there are reduced impulse decisions, like we talked about, because you don't have that emotional factor as much, and clients are less likely to purchase that product, and they may shop around for less expensive options or something that seems convenient for them. So then that increases the probability of them purchasing in a store, or like when they're Target shopping or something. So they may shop around. And then there's the brand perception, of course, because that can be slightly diluted if you don't have physical retail to kind of support your brand image. So for me, I don't really feel like it needs to be so black and white. As a matter of fact, most people that I coach and I talk to, depending on, again, the structure of your business, it might make sense to have a hybrid option where you have your hero products that you're going to carry on your shelves. You have a couple of items that you can keep stocked. You have space that you can actually house that stuff. You know that you're going to be using it regardless if you're going to be selling it or not. You can always mark it out of inventory, for example, and have it as a backbar item if you end up not selling that product. So at least you have options there versus doing 100% in person or 100% online. And then you can have those affiliate links so that if a client does run out of that product, you can have that QR code available. You can have that link on your website. You can send it to them. You can have it on your social media accounts. And then that diversifies your range. So then people can find you through it. You can sell it online to people who are not in your state, and you can have it available to anybody that comes in and sees you. So then it's a well-rounded experience in general. So I guess if I were to sum all this up, if you were talking about pros and cons, if you were to consider this and just going slow and growing and then adding elements in, if you started out by just housing one line that you really believe in and then adding in a secondary line that might have a different price point or hits the audience that makes sense to you, like if you were a low tox salon, for example, or if you wanted to be all organic, or if you wanted a product that was more luxury and then you wanted something that was going to be for mid-level consumers, something that was a younger audience perhaps, or someone that was more mature. So really consider those things when it comes to housing retail. And then of course, with your online affiliate links, you can have that built out as well. And I feel like I have to just wrap all this up by prefacing that one is not right or wrong. If it's right for your business, then it's the right move. If it's not giving you the numbers that you're looking for, then it's time to pivot or change. And that brings me back to what we were originally talking about. If you don't know what's happening in your business and you don't see those numbers, then it's hard to make a decision, and then you're guessing. And guessing can be a very expensive process. So I would say to save yourself money and time, start out slow, grow it. Look at your luxury line, look at your mid-level line, look at things that you can actually stock in person, look at things that would make sense to sell online, and go from there. And you can always build and change and shift depending on how your business grows or contracts to your liking. So I hope that this helped you out for tips. If you guys have anything else that you want to add or you have any questions, I would love to hear from you, of course. And I do appreciate that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. So if this was helpful to you, I'd love hearing from you. I want to encourage you to dream big, set goals, take action, guys, and I will see you next week. Take care.